Yo, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Ooh, I think we're gonna come back online. Yo, what's up? Welcome back to Vencabot. Intro to Python action. My name is David. Yo, it's Intro to Python. We're gonna start here with a brand new season. That means going back to the very fundamentals of programming. The fundamentals. The most basic of basics. In fact, why don't we go download Python first of all? That's python.org for you guys that are scrubs and don't know. Once you're here, guys, yeah, it's for the new programmers, right? Go to the downloads area. Get Python 3.7.2, download that, run it. It's very straightforward, just installs Python. What Python is an executable. I'm going to actually load it down here a little bit more. Python is a program that will read the code that you write and make it work. That's all there is to it. It's called an interpreter. Python is an interpreted language. You type it into a little notepad file if you want, or any kind of other simple text file, and then you feed it to the Python program. Python will read that and then run your code. It's pretty cool. Sick, I only made it to phase 4. I suck at this game. Phase 4, huh? Yeah, it's a pretty tough game. It's a pretty tough game, definitely. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. We're talking about Mario Brothers, the original Mario Brothers. Once you have Python installed, it should actually associate, .py files with Python. Go to your desktop if you want, or anywhere you want, any kind of folder. Go to New. Go to create a new folder. I'm going to name my folder, Intro to Python Season 3. Let's go. Open that. Right-click again. Boom, shakalaka. Make a new text file. Text document, right? Click on that. Just call it like, I'm going to call this simple RPG, day 1 .py. So any file that has a .py extension, that is to say, after the file name you have .py, then Windows should associate that now with Python. That should actually run your program for you when you double click it, which is kind of cool. So go ahead and hit enter there. Oh, it's going to be a warning. Oh, fuck. If you change a file name extension, that's the part after the dot, the file might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? Oh my god. Yeah, I do actually. Boom. Get it. So if we double click this now, I think it's going to pop up. Yeah, see a little black screen popped up and went away? That's Python running our program, which is empty right now. It makes a black box pop up to run it, and then it goes away because it's done, right? No code to run. Let's right-click this. And then I want to open with Notepad. There you go. There's our empty program, right? We have no code here yet, which is fine. That's fine. Nothing to cry about. So what's our first line of code going to be? Well, I want to talk about, first of all, what makes a program a program. Right? What are the two things every program needs to be a program? Well, it needs two things, right? It needs data and operations, right? Operations are things that the program does, and data is the stuff that your program needs to do what it has to do, right? The information that it needs. So first of all, why don't we use two operations and one piece of data? I'm going to explain to you what we're doing here after we've done it. So go ahead and type in the word print, right? And then a couple of parentheses. And then between the parentheses, type in, hello world. Then on the next line down, boom, like that, you guys know how to use Notepad, right? Type in input, and then put some parentheses there too. Then save your program. Saved it. Go back here to your folder, and then double click it again. Oh, wow, now it does something, right? Wow. Wow, time flies. We're already programmers, right, guys? So what it did here was it put the words hello world on the screen, and that's all that it did. And if I click enter, it goes away. So let's look at why this works that way, right? Well, what we've done here is we've called two functions, right? They're two operations essentially, right? Print will put text on the screen, and input will wait for the user to press enter, basically, right? So if I were to get rid of this input part, let's actually get rid of the input part. It will print hello world, but then the program will end, which will close that black box. See, it was so fast, you can see it was so fast. It starts the program, it prints off hello world, and it closes the window. If you put input at the end, though, it will wait for you to press enter before it closes. So that's cool. There you go. So how does this work? Well, we are using already, both data and operations, right? The data that print needs to do its job is this string here. Now, a string is a data type that refers to text, like hello world. You can also put in an integer if you want, right? Like 1. Let's try that. See how this works. Okay, it prints off the number 1. Right? So it works about the same. But here's something else you can do. You can actually use another operation. You can say print 1 plus 1. Right? What's it going to do you think? Oh, printed off 2. Wow. Pretty obvious, right, guys? Pretty obvious, I think. So let's go look at this in more detail. Why is this working this way? Well, programming is like any language, right? Like English or Spanish or Japanese, whatever. That's a syntax. It has a... you have to follow certain rules for it to be understandable. What we're doing here is we're using a few different rules, right? We are using function calls. Print is a function, it does something. Input's a function, it does something. Right? And the name might be print, and the name might be input. For instance, you could say, print is a function, right? And input is a function in Python. These are both functions. But to call these functions, you need to append the parentheses on the end. That means you're calling the function, right? So this is the function itself. That's the function's name, print. To call that function, to use it, put some parentheses there. Right? That's how you call these functions. And between the parentheses, you can give a function what's called an argument, which is the data that it needs to do its job correctly. Right? So in this case, we can give it like a string, like hello world. We can give it a number, like 1 plus 1, or we can do like 2 times 4. Right? So basically, we're looking at functions. I'm actually going to open another Notepad file here for some notes for you guys. New text document. We'll call this Intro to Python Notes. Right. So I'm going to say here, every program. Hey, what's up, Here Goes? How you doing, dude? Where's your Valle? I got the toilet instead. That's not you, Here Goes. What is this, some kind of clone? Every program needs 2 things: data and operations. Operations are what the program does. Data is what you feed to the operations so that they can do their job. Right, pretty basic. I've been here the whole time, but I had the stream muted, so I didn't realize you started. Oh, I see. So you couldn't, in good conscience, give me a Valle because you didn't actually enter the stream? I'm still kind of sad. Okay, so cool beans. So let's talk about function calls, right? So we've already looked at 2 kinds of operations. The first is a function call. Functions are, operations, essentially, which you can call by name in order for them to do what they do. We've used a couple of Python's built-in functions, although we can actually make our own functions later. The print function will display data on the screen. The input function will, take some input from the user. Right, cool beans. The other kind of operation we've already used is a mathematical operation, such as plus or multiply, add or multiply. You can put these these characters between 2 numbers, and Python will yield their mathematical result. Right? Let's go look at our code again. So Here Goes says, I moved all the wrestling videos, ROMs, comics, and books and shit I downloaded to my new external hard drive, and it cleared like 100 gigs of space. Nice. What are you gonna use it for? Games? You big nerd? I bet you will. I bet you will. Okay, so let's go look at our program again here. So yeah, we have these function calls, right? Like print and input. We have this mathematical operation right here. We're taking 2 bits of data, 2 and 4, and we're using this operator here, this multiplication operator, to multiply them. And here we're using another data type, string, which is text. We download Arma 3. Oh, I've heard pretty good things about that game. Did you enjoy it, Here Goes? You played it before? I know that you're kind of like a military nut, so it might be right up your alley, huh? I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so let's run this again. Here goes loves Arma 3. Cool. Run it again. Yeah, so it says 8, right? Because that's it's printing off 2 times 4. Right here. And we have no hello world, right? Where's our hello world? Well, it's waiting for input, right? So the way that programs flow is from top to bottom, right? They read it line by line and do what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to print off 2 times 4, and it did. Now it's waiting for input. Let's go over here and click enter. Okay, now it says hello world. And now it's waiting for input again. Let's click enter again. I know the program ended, right? That's what you want. It's the end of the program, and everything worked out perfectly. Wow, we're amazing. I love Arma 3, but not for the RPing and shit, huh? But I like crafting unique little scenarios and shit, huh? How is that not RPing? Okay. So we have our notes here. Let's go look at our notes again. Actually, I'm going to try and get this side by side with our program somewhat, so that we can kind of see. Well, I'll just shrink it like this, vertically. That way we can get it like this. That'll do. Right. So, we also have 2 kinds of data already, right? We're also using 2 kinds of data already. We're using numbers, which can have math done to them, such as 4 times 2. We're also using strings, which represent textual data. You can tell a string because they're surrounded by quotation marks. Right. So here we have some numerical data that's being multiplied, and here we have a textual string. Right. Now, if we didn't have these quotation marks, what would happen? Let's get rid of the quotation marks. So it's not a string anymore, right? This is no longer textual data. So what is it? Let's go see what happens if I try and run this. Oh, well, crap. Well, nothing happens. It crashed right away. Wow, that sucks. Poop. Well, why did it crash? Well, here's what we can do. I can run the command prompt here somehow. I'm not sure how you run the command, but I'm going to go here and do it manually, I guess. Go up here to your start menu. Type in CMD. Take your command prompt from Windows. Right, go here to the start menu. Do it again. Type in the letters CMD to search for the command prompt. Run it. It starts you off in this folder here. C users and then your username. Go ahead and do CD, which means change directory, space, to your desktop with a capital D. Okay, so now you're in the desktop. Right? If you type in dir, that's directory, it'll tell you what's in this folder you're in. In this folder, we have pretty much nothing except for this Intro to Python Season 3. Let's CD again, change directory to Intro to Python Season 3. Right, now it's dir again. All right, well, there's our Python script and our notes. So now we can run them from here in the command prompt, right, with the py command. So the py command will actually run Python scripts. So we've been doing it so far by double-clicking, right, by clicking our little our script. But now it's crashing. So that's kind of a drag, right? But you can see why it's crashing if you run it in a command prompt. If we go to the command prompt here, we can just type in py and then, our name of our file. In my case, it's simplerpg day1.py, right? That'll run it there. We actually can see the error we get here, right? It tries to run it. I get an error. It says the file is simplerpgday1.py. On line 4 is the error. Where's line 4? Right here is line 4. It says it's a syntax error, invalid syntax. We talked before about syntax, right? About how in English you have to have like spaces between your words, sentences end with a punctuation mark, they start with a capital letter, basic syntactical stuff. That's how English works as a language. And the way Python works as a language is that when you have a function call like this, you have to have some kind of data type in here that it recognizes. And this stuff, it doesn't like this stuff. It's not real Python. It's not like, legitimate Python. If we put like a 4 in here, that's fine, right? A 4 is a number, right? We put in a string in here, like hello world, that'd be fine. But it doesn't like this nonsense. This would technically be some kind of tuple, but it doesn't like this exclamation mark, really. That's what it really doesn't like. Let's see here. So here goes this legit 2 or 3 hours of tweaking AI produces like 30 seconds of actual stuff that happens, huh? Well, you can control their AI. I didn't know that. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like So what do you like? Use it like a scripting language for that? Because we need to use a good data type, right? That we know of, like integers or numbers here, or strings. But it's pretty powerful. We're already really good programmers, to be honest. We've already learned everything about programming. We're already masters. We can feed our data types to our function calls by putting the data between the parentheses of, the function call. Data that you feed to a function this way is referred to as an argument. The print function takes an argument that it will use to, show that data on the screen. Right. So right here we have our little print statements, right? The argument we're supplying here is 2 times 4. It shows 8 on the screen, and we have this string here as an argument, right? But also input will take an argument, right? I don't know if you guys didn't know that yet, right? Let's go down here. The input function will take an argument that represents the text to show the user when prompting them for input. Let's do that, right? So we can go here, we can say, press enter to end program. We can say here for the argument to the first input, press enter to continue. Right? Let's see if this works. Let's go here. Oh, so it's press enter to continue. Okay. Hey, cool. Press enter to end program. Boom. There you go. So the input command will tell Python what text to show the user when asking them to enter some data. In our case, pressing enter. Sig says, no, made it to phase 6. Well, that's a good thing, dude. You're making progress. You're leveling up. Hang in there, dude. If you can make it to 15, Signap, you're going to be a hero. You're going to be a hero. Can you pause that game? Maybe you should take a photo for me with your phone if you get to 15. Okay, so now we're already, again, we've pretty much learned the basics of programming. Actually, I'm going to turn off the drum track here. This one. There we go. That's so much nicer. Okay, so we have already made a fully working program using the descriptor that I put forth in the start of the stream, right? Which is we have data, we have operations, we're doing stuff with the data, we're defining our data. We have a fully working program here, but now we want to do something more interesting with it, right? Well, the first thing we can do to make it more interesting is make it interactive. So this input function, it's more than meets the eye, right? It doesn't just prompt the user to press enter. It'll actually take any input the user puts in, and then we can save that data using what's called an assignment operator. So the assignment operator, we have the multiplication operator right here, right? This will multiply stuff, right? But we also have this character with the equals character, right? This one right here. That's the assignment operator. It'll actually take some piece of data and give it a name that we can reuse later to refer to that data. So I'm going to say here, for instance, I'm just get rid of all this code. Let's make a name for our data, right? We'll call it like what the user typed in, right? Any one word name will work with no spaces. Just don't put any spaces in there. I'm using underscores for that purpose, right? Just make it all lowercase, no spaces, no punctuation marks, please, except for underscores. So what the user typed in, we're going to call our data what the user typed in. There's a Faust. Doing things with the data. Doing dirty things. So Signup's not going to give up until it reaches 15, huh? Maybe up all night. I'm not looking forward to this, huh? Hopefully you're going to enjoy it. Then I can make restore points. Oh, I see. You have like some kind of save state in that version. So we're going to type in our name for our data. What the user typed in. Then space. That's syntax, right? Kind of like English syntax. Equals. That's the assignment operator. Space. input. Enter some data, please. Okay, so here's a kind of complex line of code, right? For us on our day one of programming. What does this mean exactly? Well, we know what input does, right? It prompts the user for some input. And the argument is what's going to show on screen when it does so. Enter some data, please. Okay, but here's what you guys didn't know before. If you enter some data and press enter, then it will actually return that data. And we can actually store that data using the assignment operator. I'm going to show you guys what I mean here. So I'm going to, now I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to print what the user typed in. We're going to have to use another input here to make sure it doesn't, I'm going to say, you know, press enter to close the program. Right? It's our last line. All right, let's see what happens now. Enter some data, please. Okay. So I printed off what I said, right? It said print it off, okay. Okay, let's go look at why this works that way. So what we did here was when we ran the input function, it returned what we typed in. Okay. It returned it and stored it inside this name, what the user typed in. Now we can use that name later in our program, like right here, print what the user typed in. That's the name we chose, right? We can print off that data we saved. That's just what we did right there. Kind of neato. Kind of super neato, right? I can see here that when we enter some data, please, we have no space here after the period, right? We can fix that by going here to our program and putting a space right here. There you go. We ended our prompt with a space. So why don't we now close it and rerun it? Let's rerun this. We run this, boys. Oh, how come it didn't work? I still have no space there. That's weird. Hang on. Oh, I put in the wrong input. I have to go up here to enter some data, please. Space. There we go. All right, here we go. Now we're talking. So now I can enter in some data. You know, here's some data for it to echo back at me. There you go. So I echoed it back at me, right? Cool beans. And now our program is somewhat interactive, right? We can enter in some data and use it now. That's kind of cool. In fact, we could even, you know, add that string we're saving to other strings. I'll show you guys how that works. If we go up here to our program, we can say, like, how about, like, enter your name, please? Right? Then we can say, here's a string, right? How about, like, nice to meet you, comma, space, and then end the string with the other quotation mark, plus what the user typed in. Well, let's just run it like that, right? Let's save this. So what we're doing here is we're saving the string they typed in, right? We're saving it here to this what the user typed in name. It's called a variable. We named it as such. Now we're going to print off nice to meet you, it's a string, plus our other string. So strings can be combined with the addition operator. That can't be multiplied, though. You can't multiply strings like you can with numbers. You can't subtract strings, believe it or not. You can't say, like, you know, nice to meet you, David, minus David. It won't give you just back nice to meet you. But you can add strings together. That's really all you can do to them in terms of, you know, mathematical operations. You can add them together. So let's see what happens now. Yo, phase not already signal? Holy shit, dude. You're working fast. We saved our program. Let's run it again. Enter your name, please. How about Faust? It says, nice to meet you, Faust. Press enter to close the program. Cool. So our program's kind of interactive now, right? Doesn't do anything interesting yet, but it's kind of interactive. So we can save what I typed into this variable name using the assignment operator. And then we can use that data we saved right here by calling it by name. And we can use that to kind of make our program a bit more interactive. So that's kind of nice. We can even make a calculator this way, right? Let's do that real quick. So we can say, like, how about enter a number to increment, right? So we're actually going to add 1 to this number they type in. Right, so we're going to print off, you know, what the user typed in plus 1. There's a bug there, right, guys? You guys see the bug? Probably not, you fucking noobs. Let's run it anyway, though. Put a bug in there for you guys. So we have this, what do you type in +1? Let's see what happens here. Run the code. Enter a number to increment. I'm going to punch in 2. Right? 2 + 1 would be 3, right? See what happens. Oh, fuck. Wait, that's wrong. Why is it not 3? Why is 2 + 1 21? You ding-dongs. It's because when you enter data through the input function, it always comes in as a string, not a number. So, yeah, it's 2 + 1, but the 1 that we're using here is a string, and the 2 we're using is a string. It's not a number, it's being treated as text. So you're actually saying, like, you know, it's saying 2 + 1. The character 2, not the number 2, but the character 2, plus the character 1. You combine them, you get 21. Felt like brain hurty. Be nice, Vencabot. Right, so we want to actually add these as numbers together. Well, we got a problem, right? We got a problem. If I were to, you know, say what the user typed in plus the number 1, right, what do you guys think is going to happen? It's going to be trying to add a string to an integer. Okay, I want to enter in 2. Oh, it crashes. Why does it crash? Try it over here in the command prompt. Right, so we're back in the command prompt. I'm going to relaunch that for you guys. Right, I'm going to relaunch this for you guys. So go to the start menu, type in CMD to search for your command prompt, run it, and then type in, you know, go to your desktop folder. So go CD space capital D for desktop. Boom. Use the dir command to see what the folders are in here. My folder is intro to Python. I'm going to do CD change directory space intro to Python season 3 dir again. Look around. What do we got in here? We've got our Python script, right, our program. So go ahead and type in py to run Python space simple rpg day1.py. Enter a number 2. So this can only concatenate a string, not an integer, to a string. So concatenate is a fancy way of saying add. You cannot add a integer to a string. So here we have a string that the user typed in, right, some text, in this case the character 2, plus an integer 1. We cannot add them. We can't add them that way. Well, how are we going to make our calculator then? Right, I don't understand. Well, here's how you can do it, guys. You can actually use another function built into Python. We already have print, right? We know of print. We know of input. But there's also one called int. Int is a built-in function that will take a piece of data and convert it to an integer. And in the case that data that takes in is a string that just contains some numbers, then it will take those numbers and make them into an integer. So if I were to say integer 2, that would give me the number 2. Right? You feed it a string with 2, it'll make it into the number 2. So we can say here, make an integer from what the user typed in. Well, I'll just make another variable. Right? Let's just say here, we'll say integer, right, the user typed in is equal to the integer version of what the user typed in. Right? So it takes this data we saved right here. We save this data right here. It takes that data and it converts it to an integer and then saves that to a new name right here, the integer the user typed in. Now we can print off the integer, right? The integer the user typed in plus 1. Now this should work, right? Because now we're actually adding an integer to an integer, not a string to an integer. Phase 10.5. Oh, phase 10. 5 more and I'll succeed. Then 20, 25, and so on. The ice guys are starting to appear, huh? That's scary. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a message from Here Goes. You can make it do stuff, like make it crawl to a certain spot and wait, making it patrol into a certain area, huh? Oh, maybe kind of like a RTS Here Goes? Like you can kind of tell them to do stuff? You don't actually like script them, no? You just kind of like right-click them maybe and have them do stuff. Like from a command list, perhaps. Let's try this. Run it. I want to increment the number 2. There's 3. So now it worked, right? So let's go see why that worked this time. One more time here, guys. So we typed in a string, right? When we run the input function and get data from the user, it always comes into Python as a string. Then we converted that string to an integer that we could use for math. If I typed in, like, David, how about that? Right, let's try that. I want to type in David. Oh, it crashes. So we'll see why it crashes, right? Go here. David. An invalid literal for int with base 10, David. So it doesn't like that string. It doesn't like the string David. It can't convert it into an integer. Right? It wants me to type in a string that is just numbers. Right? Now, a literal is a fancy word for raw data. Right? Raw data. So this is a literal. Right? It's just a raw string. This is a literal. It's a raw number 1. But this is not a literal, because this is actually, it's a name that points to some raw data. Right? The name itself is a variable. It points to some other kind of data. So this is not a literal here. But if you type in the raw data, that would be the literal. So there you go. So yeah, I didn't like this this David literal I typed in, because it's not really a number. So that kind of sucks. I can't convert that easily. That's cool. We didn't want to do that anyway. So I'm kind of curious to see what happened, right? Just kind of curious to see what happened. So now we have the basic building blocks we need to make a simple RPG, right? Because we're game developers here. So what do we know so far? Let's go review in our notes. All right? I'm going to delete all these notes. It's getting crowded. But here's what we know, though. We know that, we're aware of 3 different built-in functions in Python. Print, which takes an argument to show on the screen. I'm going to indent these, actually, because I'm anal. We also know of input, which takes an argument to prompt the user with and returns some data the user typed in as a string. It returns it as a string. So it has an argument, right, which is the prompt, such as enter a number to increment, and then it returns data as well, so we can save to something else. We also know of the int, which takes a string containing only numbers and turns it into a number data type that we can do math on. Cool beans, right? We also know of some operators. Plus will add 2 things together, such as numbers or strings. The multiplication sign will multiply 2 numbers and return the the fact. Is that called a factor? I don't know. Return the result. How about that? But also we know we can we can subtract. We'll subtract 2 numbers and return the result. Then we also know of the equal sign. Right? It's a little bit more. It's not really a mathematical one in this case. We're saying this is this will assign the name on the left, which we can choose freely, to the data on the right. Or even we say, the data returned, right, by the operation on the right. Right? Because here we have, like, if I were to type in, let's say I want to type in, let me get rid of all this stuff here. I want to type in, like, my sum equals 1 plus 1. This operation will return some data, right? That'll return 2. And then that's what's assigned to the name my sum. Or you could say, inputted text equals input type something. Right. Here we have an operation right? The operation is input, and it returns some data. And the data that gets returned is saved to this name, inputted text. So basically, when you use the assignment operator, it will take the operation on the right, and it will execute that operation. Then whatever the result is, it'll save it under this name. You can use that later in your code if you want. You can use the name somewhere else. That's kind of cool. So, let's go back here to our notes. This is basically all we need to make our first ever game. Right? So we have assignment operators, we got addition, subtraction, we have print, input, we can convert things around from integers and that kind of stuff. Kind of cool, right? Kind of cool. Why don't we go to our simple RPG day 1.py and make an RPG, right? Well, let's say we want to have a character, right? We're going to say, you know, our protagonist's name equals, you know, what should we name him? Signop. Kind of a cool guy. Kind of a cool guy name for a protagonist. So our main guy's name is Signop, right? So here we have this literal. You find that earlier, right? Like a literal is a string literal in this case. It's raw data. Uh-oh, here we go, Signop. Don't panic, dude. Don't choke. Get him. We have this string literal here. We're assigning this string literal this name here, protagonist's name. So we can use this later in our code, the protagonist name name. We're going to give him some amount of HP, right? We're going to say protagonist's HP. You guys know RPGs, right? It's like his health points, how many hits he can take. We're going to give him like 10 HP. And we're going to say, you know, well, it's fine for now. We're going to also make a monster. We're going to say a monster name. This is going to be something like Trogdor, right? It's a scary-ass name for a scary-ass monster. And he's going to have, you know, he's going to have like 20 health. He's a pretty bad motherfucker. Okay. So now we have some data that we've assigned for our code, right? But we don't really have any interesting operations. We have some operations for sure, the assignment operations, right? But the program doesn't do anything yet. It just assigns some data. Yo, Faust knows. This is a bad motherfucker, this Trogdor guy. He's burning the countryside. So yes, we have our data that we've kind of we were assigning here, but we have no cool operations yet, right? Well, why don't we change that? Why don't we say, you know, print off. We're gonna say we're gonna print off the protagonist HP, right? Protagonist's HP. Okay. Then we're gonna print off, you know, monster name plus space burninated plus protagonist name. Right. So it's gonna say here Trogdor burninated signopt. Right. So it's gonna print off for us. Then we're going to have the protagonist's HP equals protagonist's HP minus 1. Alright, what does that line mean? We'll look at it later. I'll explain it later, guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's going to be alright. Print off protagonist's HP again. Let's just copy paste, right? Just copy paste. Right here. That's what I want. Copy that, paste it down there. Here's what our code does so far, right? We define a couple variables. Protagonist's name equals signopt. Protagonist HP equals 10. Monster's name equals Trogdor. Monster HP equals 20. Right, then we start doing some stuff with that. We print off the protagonist HP variable. So it should print off what? 10, right? Cool. Then it prints off a little bit of data for the user. It says Trogdor burninated signopt. Then we say here protagonist HP equals protagonist HP minus 1. It's kind of a drag, right? So we're saying here that we're taking what their health was and subtracting 1 from it. So now we're going to have what? 9, right? Then we're taking that new number, the result, and assigning it the name protagonist HP. So we're basically changing the value of this variable. We're going to print it off again. Let's go see how this works, right? We have to make sure we end our code with input, though, right? To make sure that it's doesn't close on us. Otherwise, it'll close right away when the program ends. Let's have to wait for an enter key. All right, let's try this. Okay, so that's what it did. So it printed off 10, which was actually look at this, right? Let's go here. Okay, raise that up like North Carolina. Okay, so here's what happened, right? It printed off 10, which was the protagonist HP. Then it printed off Trogdor Burninated Signopt, right there. And then behind the scenes, it subtracted 1 from the protagonist HP, and then saved it again. Right? So it subtracted 1 right here, and then saved it under the name protagonist HP. So it kind of updated it, right? We printed it off again, and now it's 9. So we kind of lost health, right? Kind of like an RPG, kind of like, you know, Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy, Pokemon, something like that, right? We have a little attack just happened. My man lost some health. Interesting. In fact, we can actually have the monster Trogdor have an attack power stat, right? You guys like RPGs at all? Let's say monster attack power, right, equals 3, not 1. Then we can say the protagonist HP is subtracted. You know, you can subtract the monster's attack power from the HP. So now instead of subtracting 1 all the time, we can subtract 3 or 4 or whatever we enter in here, right? Whatever we enter in for the attack power, that's how much health he's going to lose now. Let's see how that works, if at all. Right, so now it says it started off at 10 HP, then he got burninated, now he's got 7 HP left, because Trogdor has 3 attack power now. I know it seems simple, but this is how games are made. Right? It's as beginners here, we're starting off very simple, but we already have a game where some kind of interesting things are happening. Right? We can actually change some stat. We can change the name of the monster now to like Wolfman. There you go. So now we have a Wolfman, right? He burninated Signopt. And he has 3 attack power, so now Signopt only has 7 health left. It's kind of cool. We can give Signopt some attack power. Right? How do we do that? Explain what, Faust? Hope you're not feeding any trolls. Protagonist attack equals... we'll give him, I don't know, we'll give him like 5 attack power, right? He's got a sword or something, right? He's got pretty high attack power. Now we can say, let's add more to our game, right? We can print off, after we do the monster's attack, we can print off, you know, print protagonist name plus slashed plus the monster's name plus with his sword. We should raise Trogdor's attack power, you're saying, right? Oh, let's do that then. Let's raise it up to like 9. He'll almost kill Signopt in 1 hit. Right. In fact, we have this little this string right. We have this text right here, right? That protagonist HP gets printed off 10 then 7. Why don't we print off? It's gonna be a bug, guys. Print off, you know, protagonist's name plus health plus, right? And we'll do the same thing down here, right? Protagonist's name plus health. Let's just say HP, right? A little bit nicer. Plus his HP. It's gonna crash our code, right? Why? Why? Why is it gonna crash it? Well, let's just do that, right? Let's just run the code now and see what happens. Oh god, it crashed. Let's run this in the command prompt. Oh, okay. So this is here on line 9. Simple RPG day 1.py on line 9. It says you're trying to print off the protagonist's name plus HP plus his HP. Okay, well, you can only concatenate or add strings to strings, not integers to strings. Okay, so right here, I'm trying to add his HP, which is a number, to these 2 strings. That's not going to work, right? Well, we know that we can convert, you know, strings to numbers using int. We talked about that right here, right, in our notes. we have this int function, which will take a string that's only numbers and make it into a number. But we also know about a string built-in function, which will take any kind of data and convert it to text. All right, that way we can add it in that way. So we can go back here to our program and change his HP right here from being a number to something textual. Right. In fact, why don't I'll just make it a little simpler for you guys. I'm going to make a new variable here. I'm going to say, protagonist HP text equals str, string function. We're going to give it in his HP. There you go. I'm going to actually call this protagonist name, not protagonist's name. Same with our HP and attack power. Get rid of all these S's. Right, get rid of that. Get rid of that S right there. There you go. Likewise here. Fuck all these S's, dude. It's not tidy. We have a monster name, not a monster's name. We're gonna have a protagonist name, protagonist HP. There you go. So now we're actually we have this textual data, right? His HP in text form is the result of the string function, and you feed it in his HP. Okay, I'm gonna use this now. Protagonist HP text. So we're gonna add in his name, and then HP, and then his HP in text form. So whatever that number is that he had left. Right? Cool beans, those. Cool beans. So, but look at this. We're doing math right here, though. Protagonist HP minus monster. Isn't this a string now? Isn't this a string? How can we do the subtraction if it's a string now? Well, I'll tell you how, guys, because this does not convert it to a string. This doesn't make it. This does not change the existing HP into a string. Instead, it returns a new string from the HP. So the HP is still a number. It's just that when you type in str, parentheses, then type in a number like 5 or HP or whatever you want to type in there, some kind of number, it will leave that number intact under its old name. But you can also use the string version of it under a new name that you've saved by running the operation. Right? So this is still a number. Protagonist HP is still a number. But this new thing, protagonist HP text, is the string we got back from running this function, str. So now we have a couple of functions we can use to convert data back and forth, right, between being numbers and being text. Cool, let's use this code in our program. Let's go down and print off his new HP right here. I have a bug here too, guys. I'm going to type that in there. Okay, let's see how this program works now. Run it. Okay, so it says Signop's HP is 10. Good. Wolfman burninated Signop. HP 10. That's wrong. Signop slash Wolfman with his sword. Press enter to close. Okay, well, how come his HP didn't change? Let's go look at our code. What would cause that? So here we have his HP. It's being updated right here, right? So his HP is what his HP was minus the monster's attack power. Okay, so monster's attack power is 9. HP was 10. So we should have 1 health left, not 10. Let me print off the protagonist's name plus HP plus the protagonist HP text. Oh, we're using the old variable from up here. Right, remember that programs execute from top to bottom, guys. They execute from top to bottom. So here we have his HP is 10. Then we save a string from 10. Right? And then here we use that string, 10. Right? The character is 10, not the number 10, but the character is 10 as a string. Okay, cool. But here we have it again, but we're not using, we haven't updated that string yet. We're using the old string we saved right here. The string is still 10, even though our number has changed. Let's update our string too. Protagonist HP text is the string version of protagonist, I'm sorry, I can't spell. Protagonist HP. We changed that numerical value, right? Good for taking notes. What's up, Montreal? What's it? Montreal Chris Lee? It's kind of an interesting handle there. Kind of dry. And it doesn't sound like a cool gamer tag. Montreal Chris Lee. I'm using Notepad here because it's our first day programming, dude. It's our first day programming. So I want to show people that you don't need to have a fancy program to write your code in. You can just use Notepad to write your code in. We could use like a IDE or even something simple like idle that comes with Python. But I don't want to scare anybody off. I'd rather use Notepad here on our first day to show that programming, all you need is a text editor. Very simple text editor. Please at least use Sublime Text with syntax highlighting. No, I refuse to, man. Not today. We'll save that for probably 2 streams from now. I think we're going to use a Notepad a bit longer here. When I was a beginner, guys, I used Notepad for probably months, to be honest, before I knew there were alternatives out there. And I made it work. I made it work. There's no syntax highlighting, kind of a drag, but it is kind of cool. So syntax highlighting for you newbies out there, it's a way to understand Python easier because things like function names and literals like integers and strings, they're highlighted in different colors for you. It makes it a bit easier to understand at a glance than Notepad is. But again, that kind of requires a little bit, very slightly more know-how to get your IDE set up that will syntax highlight for you. I wish Notepad had that, but it doesn't. There are some other alternatives. There's some very simple programs, including idle, which comes with Python. If you already installed Python, you already have idle. But we're using Notepad here today. Let me get this sip of water real quick. Oh God, yes. Okay, so now we've updated our string here, right? Our protagonist's HP text right here. We updated that. So now when we print off this string, it'll be the new updated string, right? I mean, Sublime does it by default with PyFiles, yeah. Again, idle is a very cool tool. It comes with Python. Makes it a bit easier. Here we go. So now we have a Synapse HP starts off at 10. Then he gets burninated by Wolfman. Now he only has 1 HP left. Then Synapse gets his turn to attack, right? Of course, nothing happens. It just prints off some data. Prints off a string right here. So even though we printed off some data for the user to read, it's kind of cute, it doesn't do anything. It just ends the program after that, right? Let's change that, right? So let's organize our code a bit more, right? Let's organize our code. I want to actually move this text conversion, as HP as text. I want to move that up here to his HP. That way they're kind of together. There you go. So now he has HP and HP text, right? And then whenever we update his HP, like right here, we can do it for his text as well. I find Python is a bit hard to read since there is no need to declare data types, huh? Yeah, I can see how that could be hard to read. Of course, if you see the assignment, you can see what it's supposed to be, right? Just call me Miss. Just call me Miss. Welcome aboard, Just Call Me Miss. Thanks for the follow. We stream programming here on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. We also do gameplay a lot here. User says it's strange at first, but you get used to it and start liking it. At least that was with me. Yeah, I think that duck typing is very, very, very powerful. Not having to declare your types and stuff makes it a lot, very flexible. But I can see how it'd be kind of hard to read at first, for sure. You can declare your types as of Python 2.7, I think. You can, what they call type hinting. But it's not necessary, of course. A C++ and Java kind of guy, huh? Yeah, those are my first languages. I learned JavaScript first, then Java, then C++, then Python. I never looked back to learning Python. To me, Python is Gaud. Yeah, number int equals 1. Yeah, you can do that. Oh my God, Signap. This guy's powering through Mario Brothers. The classic. I guess the Luigi Brothers in this case, though. Okay, so, yeah, crazy, right? So here we have our definitions for our characters. They both have attack and HP. We print off some data here, right? I'm actually going to lump, just for my own, So basically the way Python works is that blank lines are ignored. Blank lines are meaningless in Python. Right? So I'm only using the blank lines here to divide up the code visually for my own sake. I'm dividing up the protagonist's attributes here and the monster's attributes. And then we're going to print off, the protagonist's HP right there. Then we have the enemy's turn, essentially, which it prints off that he burninated so-and-so. Then we subtract some health and print it off. Then we're going to do the same thing for the protagonist's turn, where he's going to slash the monster now. Just Call Me says, this is great. I'm glad to come across your stream. Thank you, Just Call Me. I'm glad that you're enjoying it so far. If you have any questions, let me know. It's really more geared toward total beginners, people that have never programmed before in their lives. And we're just using Notepad, very simple, to make a very simple RPG today as our first project. So, let's print off the enemy's health now, right? Well, first we have to update it, right? So we're going to say the monster HP is getting updated, correct? It's going to be changed. So we're using the assignment operator. Monster HP minus protagonist attack. So now the monster's HP is being updated, right, to whatever it was, minus the protagonist attack power, which is 5. So now Trogdor's health, I guess his name is Wolf. Let's change it back to Trogdor. Wolfman sucks. Change the monster's name back to Trogdor. His HP started off at 20, right? So now it's going to be what, like 15, I think? Cool. So we're going to give him some text, right? We're going to say, make a monster HP text version. That's what we have for the protagonist there. It's going to be the string function. And we're going to give it the monster's HP. So now we have this string version of the monster's health we can use to add to other strings. Such as when we say, monster name plus HP, right? Just like for the protagonist, plus whatever his health is as a string. Monster HP text. There you go. So let's see how this program works now. Run it again. Oh, I got an error here, huh? Protagonist, here's my typo, right? So it says here, simple RPG day 1.py, on line 18, there's an error. Name error. The name protagonist attack, missing the O there, is not defined. All right, so it's not, we have this variable name, we're trying to use it, but we never define this variable name because we're missing the O there. Let's go see what, so it says line 18, huh? What line is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, right here. Here's the offending line, and here's our typo. Protagonist, right? Protagonist. Put the O there. Protagonist. Now we're talking. So basically, we talked before about syntax highlighting, right? How you can use like programs like Idle or Sublime or other text editors that are designed for programming specifically that will actually highlight your code and make it easier to read. One thing it'll also do is put line numbers. It'll put line numbers here on the left for you. Using Notepad's kind of tough. There's no line numbers here in Notepad. But again, we're day 1 programmers. We're going to work with it for now. Dick says, glad. You won't be saying that for long. You know, if new guys always are happy to be here, right? By day 3, they're sick of me. So what happened with the object-oriented programming Pokemon stuff, Vencabot? Or whatever it was, the adventure thing. Userman, every 6 streams of Intro to Python, we go back to phase 1. So it's a season 3 here. Season 1 was Pokemon. Season 2 was our adventure game. We finished that more or less, as far as I'm concerned. And we're moving on to season 3 here. You know, after every 6 streams we do, or every 2 months approximately, around there, like a month and a half, we start a new project for Intro to Python. Because the fear is that we'll get too advanced. Right? The whole point of this show is to address programming for total beginners. So over the course of a season, we get more and more advanced, and then I want to reset things back to, you know, total beginner type stuff. So our last season, guys, was a adventure game, like a text-based adventure, like Zork. You can explore a cave, you can grab keys, unlock doors. And we started off kind of like this, very, very simple. Then by day 6 of the stream, of the show, we were doing some pretty advanced stuff that was really kind of cool and made the program work kind of cool, kind of well. What are you making this time? It's kind of like an RPG, Dick's kind of like Final Fantasy or like Dragon Quest. The goal is to have like items you can buy with money and equip them, like swords and armor and shields and that kind of thing, accessories, and be able to fight monsters and level up and that sort of thing. So it's kind of the idea here. We're probably not going to get that far today. We have about an hour left here, but we're kind of making some pretty fast progress, I feel like. So we already have like a combat sim going here, basically. Pokemon does count, indeed. It does indeed count. It's just that in Pokemon, you don't really have like equipment, more or less, right? You don't really have like swords and shields and that sort of thing that you can kind of buy at a store. That's kind of our goal here, is kind of get like a town going, Dix, and have the town, you can buy stuff in town, and then go use the stuff you bought to go fight monsters. It's kind of my hope anyway. Let's try this again. There we go. So here's our program, right? Here's what happens. Signap starts off with 10 health. Then he gets burninated. He has 1 health left. Then we slash Trogdor. He has 15 health left. Okay. So we have a very simple RPG. A very simple RPG. That's already kind of working, more or less. We have some attack power, some health. They're interacting in some way. But speaking of interacting, as a player, we're not interacting at all. Right? We're not interacting at all with this. It's just running by itself. As a programmer, we're doing some cool stuff. But as a player, we just watch it happen. It's kind of a drag. Dick says, it sounds like you're hoping for too much, huh? You'll probably end up with a weapon shop, a monster, and maybe an inn. I think you're right, Dix. But I think it's pretty decent, I think. Pretty decent for a total beginner. Maybe not today, maybe after a few streams we'll have that stuff. But you're right, it's not going to get too far. It's not going to be like a Final Fantasy or anything. It's not going to have like an epic plot or anything. Might have a weapon shop and an inn, maybe. And like I said, a couple monsters, hopefully. That's the shit I've ever heard of. Well, you don't like it. It's a small town, Dix, right? There's not a lot of guys living there. They need to have jobs. You have a couple guys working at the weapon shop, a couple guys working at the inn. The adventure comes through, stimulates the economy. What's wrong with that? Okay, so how are we going to make this more interactive? Well, we could use our input function we talked about right here. But what would they input? They would input, whether they want to attack or what? Defend? Let's go with Signopt. How are you enjoying it, Signopt? Sounds like you're getting pretty good at it. I think me and Newton got to like what, stage 21? Name me one town with only a blacksmith, an inn, and a monster terrorizing them, huh? Maybe it's not really like a town, Dick. Maybe it's more like an outpost, huh? Userman says, since I'm kind of new to your teaching streams, I'm curious, what's the most advanced concept / topic you've gotten to at all, Vencabot? I think our most advanced... I would say that our season 1 and 2 streams were pretty much equally advanced by the end. Pokemon was our first season, and by the end of that, you could actually make your own Pokemon and make your own attacks, and then choose their attacks and stuff, and have that play out like a Pokemon battle. That was kind of fun. And then, of course, the adventure game, by the end of it, you can actually define rooms and treasure chests and items pretty easily, and doors and that kind of thing. So, I think, pretty simple stuff. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Signa. I enjoyed it, too. That Mario game. I'm kind of surprised how much I enjoyed it. A blacksmith and an inn. What kind of wealthy cities are you visiting, Dick Sucker? And a monster. We need an adventurer, though, right? We need an adventurer to take care of that monster. But, so our game's very simple right now, right? We're just losing health and stuff. In fact, we kind of have a problem, right? Let me show you this problem we have real quick. I'm going to actually copy-paste some code. I'm going to go back here to our RPG. This is the monster's turn, right? I'm going to copy-paste the monster's whole turn. Right here. In fact, I'll copy-paste both. So we have 2 turns, right? These are 2 turns, divided by a blank line for my own convenience. If I copy that and paste it, we have 2 more turns, right? So it's going to print off here, monster name, burninated Signopt, right? We're going to change the protagonist's health to whatever it was, right? Here's what it was, minus the monster's attack. We're going to turn it into a string, right here. Get a string out of it, I should say. Get a string from that. And then print off his new health. Then do the same thing with the protagonist attack, right? Let's run this, see what happens. We're going to have a problem here right away. We got a problem. Run it. Okay, here's our problem, right? So Signopt starts off at 10 health, then gets burninated by Trogdor. He has 1 health left. Then he slashes Trogdor. Trogdor loses 5 health, right? Then Trogdor gets his turn, burninates him. Now Signopt has a negative 8 health. Then he slashes Trogdor, and Trogdor has 10 health left. So Signopt is dead. He's super burned. He's like a charred little corpse, right? Negative 8. So that's kind of whack. Well, I mean, we could lower Trogdor's damage. Right, here's his attack power, right? We could lower that down to 1 from 9. Now Signopt is still alive, right? Let's run this again. And now he's still alive by the end. But that's not really a solution to our problem. We have to program in a way for Signopt to die as a protagonist of a video game, right? They should be able to be killed. I know it's kind of sad, but it's a reality of video games. The monster is just a low-level fiend and has no friends, so he terrorizes the town and attempts to remain relevant, huh? He goes to the littlest town, right? The littlest town he can find. Even after everyone else left the town, the blacksmith and the innkeeper stayed to keep the monster company. Aw, that's sweet. You guys are role-playing in the chat. I like that. Make an unsigned int, then you have a health exploit, huh? Exactly. Exactly. No, Signopt finally lost, huh? Dude, get back on the horse, Signopt. Get back on the horse, dude. Get back on that horse. Okay, so, our mans can die now. Right? They can die. Well, we can introduce a new concept called a code block. Let's go back here to our notes, right? What in the ever-loving fuck, right, let me type that in quickly, is a code block? Yeah. Code block is some number of lines, I'm going to say code lines, that will only run under certain conditions. Right? So up to this point, guys, every line of our code has been run without fail. Or ran or run or whatever you want to say that, right? I'm not sure how you say that, but Basically, we've been reading our code from top to bottom like this. You know, every line gets read by Python and then gets executed, right, until the very end. Wait for the input, right? But we can actually make Python only run certain lines under certain conditions. Code blocks start with a condition for their running. And that line ends with a colon, you know, like this. The lines that will only run under that condition are indented by 4 spaces. All right, let's go see what I mean by that. So I'm going to go up here to our turns, right? Our turns. Here's our first turn right here, the Trogdor's turn. Right? I'm going to make this all conditional. I'm going to say here, if monster HP is greater than 0, colon. Right, if we go back to our notes here, I mentioned that the first line of a code block is a condition for their running, and it ends with a colon. Right? Here's a condition. If monster HP is greater than 0, that's our condition, right? And then following lines in that code block are indented by 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our first code block, guys. So basically, as we read our program from top to bottom, like always, right? We read we define all these attributes. We define Trogdor's attributes. Right? We print off the protagonist HP. But then we say, hey, listen, if the monster is alive, right? If the monster is alive, if he has HP greater than 0, and only if he has HP greater than 0, then he gets a turn. Print off the monsters, the burninated Signapt, lower Signapt's health, right? And then print off Signapt's new health. Do the same thing right here, right? For the protagonist turn. If protagonist HP is greater than 0, then do the stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Userman says, I'm guessing Notepad does not have tab to 4 spaces. Yeah. Since it's all linear, you could optimize. Oh. You're right, Userman, you're right. We could optimize this stuff. For sure. So I'm not going to worry about that right now for total beginners, though. We're going to do that probably maybe before the end of the stream. Maybe not next stream. So Signap says, I have an arcade machine that my dad has 100 plus old games, huh? Did he make it himself? Bet he did, or had a friend make it for him, perhaps. So basically, we're saying here, as long as these lines are indented, treat them as being a part of this block, right? Until the next unindented line. Here's a 3Venge, how you doing, dude? So because this line here is not indented anymore, that means that this is outside of that code block, right? We're making a new code block here, though. So now we have a game with turns. The enemy can only take his turns as long as they have health, right? They can only take their turn if they have health now. So now we have 4 different turns. Right? We have 2 turns for the monster and 2 turns for the protagonist. And those turns will only happen if they have health remaining. Oh, he bought it, okay. He bought a really cool arcade machine, huh? With a bunch of old games on it. Let's run our code here. Okay, so it says here, Signapt has 10 health, and then he gets burninated by Trogdor. He only has 1 health left. Now Signapt slashes Trogdor. Trogdor has 15 health left. And then Trogdor burninates Signapt, and Signapt is dead. Right, enter to close. So it looks like Signapt does not get a second turn, because he's already dead, right? He's supposed to attack one more time, right? We're supposed to have 4 turns here. We have 1 turn. We have 2 turns, we have 3 turns, and then we press enter to close. That's because this last turn here did not run. It's a code block that is dependent on the protagonist, Signapt, having health remaining. But he's already dead, so he doesn't get a turn. That's it, the end of the program. So Matt Abley, welcome aboard, says, does Python need exactly 4 spaces for conditionals? Is it possible to use brackets like other languages? You cannot use brackets, no. But you can use any number of spaces you want. I can use 2 spaces, as long as it's consistent in your script. But don't. Don't do that, because it's important that other Python programmers can read your code comfortably. And so there have been standards decided upon by Python coders in general to use 4 spaces. But yes, technically speaking, you can use 1 space or 2 spaces or 3 spaces or 5 spaces or 10 spaces. Whatever makes you happy, man. Whatever makes you happy. But always use 4. Always use 4. Yeah, exactly. You can't use brackets for anything in Python. Always use white space. It doesn't have to be consistent, does it? It does indeed. Only for that single block, though, Dix. Within that same block. So basically, if I were to have, like, you know, like this, Python wouldn't know this was all in one block. It'd be a syntax error. But if I were to just do, you know, every line in that block have 2, they'd be fine. Even though these ones have 4 here, because they're their own blocks, that's fine. Basically. But always use 4. I know I said you can definitely use whatever you want, but don't. Always use 4 in Python. Welcome aboard, Matt Appleby. I think you've been here before once or twice, right? So it's good to know. You know, always make sure you guys are using 4 of these. So, we can lower Trogdor's attack back down to like 2. And now we should get 4 turns. Because my man is still alive by the end, right? Yes, he gets 1 more turn. Signap gets a turn down here now to lower Trogdor's health. Alright. Well, so now we know about our first ever code block. What's up, Mr. Pillow Fort Forever? Mr. Pillow Fort Ever, excuse me. Kind of an interesting handle there. How you doing, homeboy? Welcome back. So let's go back to our notes here, right? So we know what a code block is now, right? We know of one code block type now. If is a block type that will only run if the condition provided ends up being true. Mixing indentation kind of messes up reading the code since it's used for scoping. Yeah, always just use 4 and multiples of 4. Okay, so we know about this if kind of code block, right? Where you say if, and then I'm going to lower the volume a little bit more. We say if, and then we give a condition, right? Like monster HP greater than 0. A no scope pro anyway. Wow. Wow, Dix. I'm sorry, what was I saying? Yeah, so we have this condition, right? And then if the condition is true, this code will run. Otherwise, it gets skipped. Right, go down here and say, you know, otherwise, it gets skipped. Right? In fact, let me show you guys something, right? If I gave Signopt, you know, 21 attack power, he can kill Trogdor in 1 hit. Right, watch what happens when he does that. Okay, so this here, first of all, Trogdor burninates Signopt on the first turn. Signopt has 8 health remaining. Right? And then Signopt slashes Trogdor. Now Trogdor's already dead, he has -1 health, right? He already got killed. But then Signopt slashes him again! He's defiling the corpse, dude. He's defiling the corpse. Now he has -22 health. That's because here's what happened, right? The first turn is the monster's turn. Right? This is where Signopt gets burninated by Trogdor. The next turn is the protagonist's turn. He kills Trogdor right here. He kills him right here. Because if the protagonist has HP remaining, he gets a turn. Right? Now the monster can have a turn, but it's only if the monster has health remaining. He doesn't. He's already dead, right? His health is negative now. So this part gets skipped. All this code here gets skipped. But then the protagonist is still alive. So he gets another turn anyway to attack the monster. All right, so as long as this statement here is true, this code will run. And if that statement is false, this code will get skipped. All the indented lines get skipped, basically. I think -3 attack power would be more realistic. We can put that on there if you want. We'll give the protagonist -3 attack power. See what happens. Sorry I'm a little bit late to the party. What's going on here, bro? We're making our first ever RPG, Mr. Pillowfort. On Fridays on around like 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, I run a show called Intro to Python, where I teach Python to people that have never programmed before in their lives. Today's the first episode of Season 3, which means we're back to the very, very, very basics in Notepad. Right? It's very, very simple stuff today. We're making a little RPG where we have a hero, Signopt, who's fighting a monster, Trogdor, and they're taking turns beating each other up, basically. Kind of like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, that kind of thing. Let's see what happens now. We have negative attack power, right? So now when Signopt slashes Trogdor, Trogdor gains HP. Right? Kind of like a healing wand more than a sword, right? My friend Dix likes FF Tactics. There's a sword in that game that does that, I think, right? Or there's like a staff that does that, right? That heals on impact. Kind of what my man Signop's sword is doing now. It's kind of a whack sword, though. Trogdor ends the game with 26 health because he got hit twice and got healed for 6 HP. That kind of sucks. Makes that positive again. Now he's doing 3 damage to Trogdor. So basically, we have a kind of a bug here, right? The bug is that we have 2 bugs, right? One bug is that the game doesn't end when one character dies. If I were to give, again, if I gave Signop, like, let's say, give him, like, fucking 40 attack power, right? Trogdor has 20 health. My man Signop has 40 attack power, right? So he keeps on hitting Trogdor, right? Even though he's already dead, he keeps on hitting him until he does 4 total turns. And likewise, after those, if I give him, like, 1 attack power, right? And then reran the code, the game ends and no one's dead yet. No one's dead yet. So basically, our program's main problem here is that it always does all 4 of these turns unless someone's dead. Then it might not do one of their turns. But the game will not end when one of them dies, and the game will end even if both are still alive. That's kind of whack. Good stuff, Mr. Pillowford. If you have any questions, let me know, dude. Phase 25, let's go, Signop. Let's go. Yeah, my friend Signop is playing Mario Brothers, the classic, the NES classic. He's playing Luigi Brothers, though. I guess it's like a re-release on Wii U, where you play as Luigi instead of Mario in one-player mode. Okay, so we have a couple problems. Let's go take some notes here real quick. Right. We have a couple problems in our simple RPG. Yeah. Although dead characters don't get a turn, thanks to the if statement. The game can have, at most, 4 turns. It'll end, even if both characters are still alive. And it won't necessarily end when one character falls. Right, so we can get extra, you can like keep on hitting the body, basically. Welcome back, Reese. How you doing, dude? How's your day been so far? So we have these problems, right? We have to know more about Python to solve these problems. We can't solve these problems quite yet. But, well, one thing we could do is use a new kind of code block called else. Right? So basically, let's go take some notes here again. The else code block is a block of code that will only run if the preceding if code block did not run. It's like, it basically means otherwise. Else means otherwise. I'm going to demonstrate that real quick. So we're going to say here, if the monster has greater than 0 health, he gets a turn, right? Else, print off, monster name plus was defeated, right? So if he has health, he gets a turn. Otherwise, he's defeated because he has no more health, right? Same with the protagonist, right? If he has health, he gets a turn. Else, print off, protagonist name plus was defeated, right? So I'm going to actually copy paste this here for our other 2 turns. Doesn't really solve any of our problems, but it does kind of get us thinking the right way, right? We have not only a conditional statement, only run this code block if this is true. We have like a fork in the road now. Now we're using what's called logic, right? To make your program work correctly, to have it be interactive, to have it do certain things based on the data you give it, you have to use what's called programming logic. Simple logic, true or false. Here we have little forks. If this is true, do that. Otherwise, do this, basically. Just ask Stack Overflow to solve them, so you don't have to. Yeah, I guess you're right. Sounds like Userman definitely knows his way around Stack Overflow, which is kind of like a website for helping programmers out. A lot of lazy programmers and students will just post on there, hey, help me with my homework, and then they don't have to ever learn anything. I'm currently making a website, and I need thoughts on my design. Mind me posting a link to an image? Yeah, please do, Reese, please. I might even be able to look at it for you real quick. Is it safe for work? Can I click it? Let's see here. I'll just go to the chat here. I can copy paste this as well. So let's see here. imdrew.com, jxpnq8k. I'm going insane over Luigi Bros. I don't think I can last longer. Dude, you've been playing for a long time, Signap. Take a break. Take a break. It's a very simple game. It's not really that deep. I mean, it's very interesting, I feel like, for being an old-style arcade game. But you can't play it all night long, obviously. Okay. This is it right here, huh? Fun, admin, and music. It's the only bot you'll ever need. Okay, here we go. I see. This is the entire image, huh? Supreme bot. Features, support, commands. Fun, admin, music. What kind of feedback are you looking for, Reese? Add a Discord makes sense. Learn more makes sense. Log in makes sense. This part I don't really get. What's with the folders? Does it look good? Yeah, I like the color scheme and everything. It's real laid back, very neutral. I'm colorblind. I like gray shades. As a colorblind person, it appeals to me. Kind of dark and easy on the eyes. Looks fine to me. And this part's kind of confusing though. This part right here, but otherwise looks fine. Okay, so now not only do we have code that will only run if the monster is alive, right? Like they can take their turn if they're alive. But if they're not alive, we get another piece of code that happens, right? If they're dead, we get this code instead. We get this, someone was defeated. Let's try this code now. I think nothing's going to happen, right? Because no one's killing each other yet. Let's raise Signap's attack power, give him a better sword. Right? Raise the attack power raise to like 11. And kill him in 2 turns. Okay, well, we had a problem. I'll explain this problem we have real quick here. Compacted. Was that Latin? Yeah, it was Latin. It was like a placeholder text. The folder bit at the bottom will make pop out on hover. Okay, I don't know what that means, but that's fine. You're colorblind. Your opinion doesn't matter. That hurts my feelings, Dix. Be nice to me. I'm handicapped. Okay, so basically, Trogdor dies right here. But we don't get a message yet about him being defeated because that message only happens when he gets a turn. See this right here? So if Trevor were to get a turn, we would say, he's defeated, right? He's not alive, so we'll say, how about this? We say so-and-so can't attack. They're dead. How about that, right? Makes more sense. It's more of a message of why they didn't get their turn, right? So here we say, if he's alive, he gets a turn. Otherwise, they can't attack. They're dead. Right? I like it. I like it. Can't attack. They're dead. Not Ed. They're dead. So-and-so here, likewise, he can't attack either. He's dead. And find one more time down here. Yeah. Can't attack. They're dead. So if we go back up here and give Signop, like again, 40 attack power, like an insane amount of attack power. We'll do it for Trogdor instead. We'll give Trogdor, 11 attack power. Signop only has 10 health, right? Let's see what happens here. Here you go. So basically, Signop has 10 health, right? He gets burninated, his -1 health now. Now he can't attack, he's dead, right? He gets burninated again, he gets his corpse desecrated, and he can't get an attack, he's dead. So basically now, we're saying, whenever we get a turn for a character, find out, first of all, are they alive? If they're alive, give them a turn. If they're not alive, print off, they can't attack, they're dead. But our other problems still remain, right? We still only have 4 turns maximum. And we still have Trogdor burninating Signop's corpse, because the fight did not end when Signop fell. Okay, so we've got some more problems here we have to solve. So Dix, it's your, not your. Gonna hurt Dix's feelings now. I think he means there's an animation where you interact with the folders at the bottom. I bet there is. I just mean I don't understand what the folders signify. Yo, let's go, Signop. He's gonna keep on going. Never give up, dude. Never surrender. How far are you gonna get, Signop? What's your goal? One thing I hate about Python is elif. You don't like elif? I love elif. It looks weird, though. It looks weird. We're going to talk about that today, probably, though. We'll talk about that next time we stream the intro to Python. So, again, our problems here are that the fight doesn't end when somebody dies. Right? In fact, the fight will end even if they're both alive. We need some kind of new logical block to deal with the problem, right? We know about if, which will only run code if, this thing is true. We know about else, which will only run the code if the previous if is not true. But how about we use something like while? It's a new kind of code block. Let's go over down here to our notes. The while code block is pretty fucking cool. It's a really, really cool code block. The code in the block will only run if the condition is true. This is identical to how if behaves, right? So you can say, while, monster HP greater than 0, right? So it works just like while, just like if does, right? However, the code block will be repeatedly executed, until the condition is no longer true. This behavior is referred to as a loop. Right? We have this loop now. So we're going to make a loop now, guys, to fix our problem. Right? So our problems are twofold. They are that when when someone dies, the fight keeps going. The other problem is, if nobody dies, the fight still ends. Right? We can solve both those problems using if. I'll show you guys how real quick. So we're going to say here, make a new code block, right? We're going to print off while monster HP greater than 0 and protagonist HP greater than 0. So as long as both characters have health, keep on doing this thing over and over and over again. Right? So we're going to indent a whole bunch of shit now. Right? Because we have remember, guys, that if you have a code block, you have to indent things inside of it by 4 spaces, at least. Okay. So for the first turn, I'm going to get rid of all this shit get rid of all these other if blocks here. No more if blocks needed for now, at least. No, the else as well. Okay. Let's look at our new code here. Okay. Here's our new code. It is much simpler. Right? It's much shorter, that's for sure. We deleted like a whole bunch of lines just now. And it's much more intelligent. Let's see how it works. So we're saying here, while the monster HP is greater than 0, and the protagonist HP is greater than, so as long as they're both standing, then the monster gets a turn, right? The monster burninates Signopt. He loses health. And then Signopt slashes the monster. Okay, he loses health. And then we're at the end of our block, right? Remember, the block ends once we stop indenting. He's going to go till phase 50? Holy shit, dude. Signopt is going hardcore with his Mario Brothers. Dick says, I'm a man of class, unlike the rest of you peons. Dick's... we're going to name the monster Dix. Right. We're going to have Signopt versus Dix. That's how I feel right now. Okay, so basically, because it's in a while loop, it's going to keep on running this code until this statement is not true. Here's what happens, guys. It starts at the top, runs to the bottom of the code block. Again, this is not part of the code block. It's not indented, right? This is not indented anymore, so it's not part of the code block. Gets to the bottom of the code block, then it goes right back to the top and says, hey, is this still true? If it is true, it does it again. Goes back to the bottom again. Goes back to the top after that. Is it still true? Once it says, no, it's not true anymore, then it skips the code block and drops right down here to the end. Press enter to close. I'm actually going to print off game over, too. There you go, guys. So let's see how this works now. Who's got a bunch of health? I want for the monster to win. So I want to give Dick Sucker 11 attack power. That's fine. Let's run the code now. See what happens. Oh, something crazy happened. But anyway, so we have here Signopt starts off with 10 health. Right? Then he burninates Signopt. Right? Signopt has -1 health. Then he still attacks Dix. Or why does it print off his HP twice? We have a couple bugs here. Why is his health getting printed off twice? Oh, because I didn't delete enough code. That's funny. That explains that. Right? But then the program ends. Game over. So it kind of worked. It ended after only 2 turns instead of having to wait for 4. But the problem is that Signopt still attacked Dix, even though he was already dead. And that's because here, as you can see in our while block, the while block has to read all this code before going back to the top. And that means that there's always 2 turns, which means it's always Dix's turn here, and then Signopt's turn. Then it says, hey, you guys are still alive? If so, do it again. Give Dix a turn, give Signopt a turn, then ask again, are they still alive? All right, see what I'm doing there? So basically, we need to make sure for the second half of the turn, we're going to say here, if protagonist HP is greater than 0, right? He only gets a turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now the second turn only happens if the protagonist is still alive. Right. So let's look at our code here. Now we have a code block inside of a code block. We have extra indenting here, right? Extra indenting here. So basically, we're saying as long as the monster and the protagonist are both alive, keep on looping over this code. As long as they're both still alive, keep on looping over this code. Then we're going to say, inside this code block, if the monster has killed Signopt within that turn, then don't give him a turn. He doesn't get a turn, right? We only run this part of the code, only run Signopt's turn if he's still alive, right? Before we go back up to the top again and ask, hey, should we end the fight? If so, then drop down here to game over. So now our code is only what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 lines of code. In 20 lines of code, we have made a working RPG. I'm going to demonstrate that for you guys real quick. I'm going to actually give Signopt 3 attack power. Trogdor we'll give him 4. All right, let's run this code, see what happens. Okay, so we ran the code, here's what happens, right? So Signopt starts off with 10 health. Then he gets burned by Dix. He has 6 health left because Dix has 4 attack power. So he removed 4 health on his turn. Right, Signopt is wounded by 4 damage. Then Signopt slashes Dix, and he has 3 attack power. That means that Dix's health gets lowered from 20 down to 17. Now Dix burnates Signopt. Right, Signopt loses what was that? 3 health again? No, 4 health again. Right, he lost 4 health. He's down at 2 HP now. Signopt attacks Dix with his sword. Dix has 14 health. That's 3 down from 17. Finally, Dix burnates Signopt. Signopt's health goes into the negatives. Then it's game over. Right, it's game over because one of the characters died. That means this loop finally ended. Right? The loop only keeps looping as long as both the monster and the protagonist have HP left. Once one of those becomes untrue, then this statement's no longer true, right? That means the while loop finally ends, and we get knocked down here. Print game over. Input. Press enter to close. Right, he's waiting for input right here. Boom. There you go. Words hurt. Not physically. Deal with it. Emotional pain is still pain, says Dix. Wounds heal, but my trust never will. Here goes, says, I'm almost done downloading all 50 gigs of my Arma 3 mods. What do your mods do? Here goes. Yeah, focus and not focus. Loogie, huh? Stop bullying me, says Signopt. I want to understand you started at Signopt. Oh my, yeah, dude. The taste of his own medicine is so bitter. It's so bitter. All right, cool beans. So we have an RPG here that is very simple, of course, and we're total beginner programmers, right? We don't have any EXP, no leveling up, no equipment yet, just HP and attack power. We have 2 characters though, but hey, they do fight. They do fight until one of them dies. Then the fight ends. That's kind of sick. That's kind of super sick. And print off the monster's health too at the start of the game. So we're going to go give him monster HP text is the string version of the monster HP. That way we can say, hey, the protagonist has health and the monster has health. Then the fight starts, right? So the monster name plus HP plus the monster HP text. There you go. So they both have health, and they both have, turns they take. I'm actually going to print a blank line to make it a bit easier to read. Right? I'm actually going to print a blank line right here, just by using print and having no argument at all. And then at the end of each pair of turns, How about the end of each turn? Right, so we're going to go down here and we're going to print a blank line right here after the monster's turn, and print a blank line right here after Signop's turn, the hero. There you go. Let's try this again. Now we're talking. Okay, so now we have, their health is printed off at first, then a blank line, then Dix's turn, then Signop's turn, then Dix's turn, then Signop's turn, then until somebody dies. Why play armor? You can play Gunbound. Man, fuck Gunbound. I'm sorry, Audrey Apples, but fuck it. I'm trying to get it bunged. Go-kart mods, huh? 1980s U.S. military mods, huh? And my 70s Greek military mods. Okay. So they kind of give you new kind of tanks and guns and stuff, huh? And go-karts. So now we can choose who wins the fight by controlling how much health they have, how much attack power they have, etc. We can mod our game here to change how much health people have. We can give Signop 100 health, right? Now he's unbeatable. Save it and run it. There goes. So, Dix finally dies here at the end. There's a lot more turns this time, right? A lot more turns this time. Because Signop's health is so high and his attack power is so low. See all these turns that happened? Right? And finally, Signop prevails over Dicksucker in the end. He's still at 72 health left. Smash Bros with gun items only. Best FPS, huh? We should do that on stream. We're playing Smash tonight, maybe, if Minecraft doesn't end up being, super fun. Wait, no, go-karts in an official... Oh, it's an official DLC. Oh, you spent money on. Okay, well, good. Support the developers if you like them. That's cool. So, guys, we have half an hour left on the stream here for this episode of Intro to Python. But I feel like we have kind of made something really cool here. Made something really, really cool. And just, our first hour programming, we've actually made a fully working RPG. Very simple RPG, but working one nonetheless. How about we make it interactive now, right? Right now, it is just very simple, right? It's just, you program it in and it runs. There's no player interaction, except for changing it, beforehand, using, the code. Why don't we let the player choose between attacking and defending? All right, let's do that. So we're going to say here, on the protagonist's turn, here's the protagonist's turn, right? If he's still alive, he gets a turn, right? I'm going to say here, player's choice equals input. Remember this, the input function? Input, attack or defend. Right, put a space there too. So now we're going to ask the player if they want to attack or defend every turn. I'm going to actually run this code and see what it looks like, right? Run the code. Okay, so Dix burninated Signop. I lost 4 health. This is attack or defend. Attack. Okay, so I slash him with a sword. Okay, cool. Attack or defend? Defend. Okay, well, I still slash him, right? We have no code to use this yet. We have no code using our player's choice. But we are saving the player's choice, which is kind of cool. All right, let's actually implement it, right? So we're going to say here, if player's choice equals, we know that equals, like 1 equals, means assignment, right? Assign this data to this name, right? But equals means is equal to. So if player's choice is equal to attack, then run this code, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So if they want to attack, then do that. Otherwise, if player's choice is defend, then print off, we can't do that yet. Sorry. Right? We can't defend it. We can ask you to attack or defend. We can't do that yet. So whatever. Print a blank line. Right. So let's try our code now. I'm going to use a control pause on the keyboard on Windows. Control pause to end your script. Then run it again. Attack or defend. Okay, I want to attack. Okay. Well, that worked. We attacked Dix with a sword. Cool. I want to defend it now. Oh, we can't do that yet. Sorry. Oh, we got attacked. We skipped our turn, right? So here's what happened, right, guys? So when the protagonist gets a turn, right here, if he's alive, he gets a turn, right? If he's alive, then ask the player for a choice. Attack or defend. If the player's choice is equivalent to the word attack, then run this code block, right? Attack the opponent. if the player's choice was defend, then print off, we can't do that, sorry. And then that's it, your turn's over. You get attacked by a dicksucker, right? Fuck you. So Mr. Pill says, just asking, do you have any release projects we can try out? In season 1 of Intro to Python, every single day I uploaded our code at the end of the day, as well as a fully commentated version, like a richly commentated version, to learn from what we typed in that day. So if you go to github.com/Vencabot, and then click on the Intro to Python directory, you can go check out our first project, our Pokemon project, and go run our Pokemon script there. Userman says, defend is just a glorified turn skip. Changed my mind. Pretty much what happened, right? We're going to change that, though, right? We're actually going to take less damage. So we're going to say, if they want to defend, we're going to do some kind of complex code here, right? We're going to say, if they're defending, we're going to say, player is defending, equals true. So there's our third data type, right? Our third data type. Let's go back to our notes here. Today, we've learned mostly about 2 data types, right? Both simple for beginners. Integers are numbers that we can, I was going to say whole numbers, that we can do math on. The player and monster HP and attack power are saved as integers. Let's go look at that real quick. Right here, right? Here's HP. Here's attack power. They're numbers, right? They're for mathematical purposes, such as subtracting HP. Right? But also we learned about strings, right? Strings are textual data that are mostly used for, printing messages to your program's user, right? The input function also returns a string, text, from what the user typed in when prompted. Right? But finally, we're gonna end today's stream with one more data type. Thanks for the follow, Crim de la Crim 77. Crim de la Crim. Is that my friend Crimson Wolf? How can I do this? I got here late. We do this on Fridays. We also program here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays as well. But on Fridays, it's Intro to Python. It's really more beginner focused. Our other days are kind of like casual programming. I program some more of my personal projects, that kind of thing. But on Fridays here, around 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we program Intro to Python. It's kind of like educational streams for total beginners. You're a very beginner, huh? What's your experience, Krim? Your first time programming or what? Or you maybe dicked around with JavaScript or something like that? Or give me the scoop, homeboy. One more data type, right? So we learned about integers, which are numbers. We learned about strings, which are text. We also have booleans. Right. Booleans, you're also called bools, are a very simple data type. Booleans are always either true or they're false, right? And they're used for logic. Right? I'll demonstrate that real quick, guys. So basically, when you say up here, if protagonist HP is greater than 0, this is an operation, right? Like kind of like a mathematical operation, like 1 plus 1 is 2, right? 1 plus 1 is 2, and protagonist HP greater than 0 is true or false, depending on its HP, right? So this actually returns a Boolean value. And we can actually use Booleans directly as literals, such as right here. Player is defending equals true. So we're assigning this Boolean, true, to this name, player is defending, huh? I took some Java and C++ in college, but it was just too hard for me, and the teachers weren't really helpful, so I stopped doing CS, computer science. I'm sorry to hear that, Krim. That's kind of a drag. Yeah, we can change that here, though, dude. Trust me. If you go to, like my friend Kenny says, go to youtube.com/Vencabot archive, or just search on YouTube for Vencabot and look up my Intro to Python playlist. You can go watch me program Pokemon, our first season of the series. It's 6 episodes, starts off very simple like this with Notepad. We download Python, we talk about variables and, the very basics of programming. And then over the course of 6 episodes, we go from having, no experience to having a fully working Pokemon battle by the end. And every time we do a new stream, we kind of add some more concepts very slowly. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know, dude. Join us on Discord, guys. That's at vencabot.com. Just go there to vencabot.com. You'll get a Discord invite for our server. Ask me questions there as well if you want our Intro to Python text channel. Thank you, Krim. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the YouTube comments or on Discord, or come back here again anytime you want and ask me. It's to me, programming is a creative hobby. It's something that I really enjoy as a way to express myself. And the point of the show is to kind of empower people to get the same pleasure out of it that I do, basically. So I'm really happy to be here and kind of help some of you total beginners along with understanding programming, because to me it's just such a cool thing. It's such a cool thing, and I love to share that. Let's go. C++, excuse me, is tough on its own. Having bad teachers must make it even harder, huh? Yeah, C++, Python is a very simple language. It's a very, very simple language. Some people don't like it for that reason, but I started off using JavaScript, then I learned Java, then I learned C++, and then I finally learned Python, and to me Python is the ultimate language. It is beautiful, it's easy to read, it's easy to understand, relatively speaking. To me, it's just the best. I definitely recommend it for beginners, and even for experienced programmers, personally. It has shortcomings, of course, at the highest level of, especially like professional programming, in terms of performance a little bit, but to me, it is the goud. Always use Python, that's what I use for every project these days. Okay, so we have this Boolean, right? Player is defending equals true. Okay, so now what are we going to do with this Boolean, right? Well, this program loops, right? This part here loops over and over again. So if they attack, we're going to say, player is defending equals false, right? So right here, we're setting it to true if they defend. If they're attacking, it's false. That's fine. But up here, we're doing the attack, the monster's attack turn. So he's gonna lower the protagonist's health right here, right? He burninates him in these 2 lines. In these 2 lines, my man Sagetup's getting burninated, right? Here's the string to tell the user what's happening. And here's the math, right? Here's where he's losing HP. Protagonist HP equals protagonist HP minus monster attack. So we're changing the value of his HP to whatever it was minus the monster's attack power. But we can do an if block now. Oh no. Oh my god, guys. Here we go. Getting complex. If player is defending protagonist HP equals protagonist HP minus monster attack divided by 2, right? So if he's defending, then he only loses half the health he would have lost otherwise. Else, he takes full damage, right? If he's defending, he takes half damage. Otherwise, he takes full damage, right? This is going to crash our program, guys. Watch, we have a bug here. I'm going to demonstrate it for you guys real quick. Control pause to kill the program. Run it. Boom. We have a bug, right? It says here, here's our file, Simple RPG Day 1, on line 17. It says, name player is defending is not defined. Well, what do you mean it's not defined? We defined it right here, right? We defined player is defending right here or right here. Well, our problem is that this code up here is first run, right here. We run these lines right here, correct? All these lines get run. Then we run these lines. And by this point, players defending is not defined yet. That's our problem, because it's only defined once you get to this point. So we have to define something right up here. We're going to go up here to the protagonist. We're going to say here, player is defending. Starts off as false. It's not defending at first. There you go. So now we can attack or defend and take half damage. Watch. Oh, I just realized I don't want to get into to decimal numbers yet. Make sure we all have even attack power and stuff. Oh, we do. Okay, so let's run this code. Okay, so I get burninated right off the bat. I can take 4 damage, right? I start off at 100 health. I got 96 now. Let me choose to attack. Okay, so I attacked him with my sword and did 3 damage to him. He attacked me again, did 4 more damage. I'm going to defend this time. Watch what happens. Oh, I can't do that yet. Fuck! I forgot. I got. Oh, no, I think it actually worked though, right? It actually worked. Oh, that's fine. It actually worked because I forgot to get rid of this. Forgot to get rid of this text here. That's fine. Actually, I should change the text, right? We're gonna print off instead of it doesn't work. We're gonna print off, protagonist name plus raises his shield. All right, there you go. There you go. Let's redo this. We have decimals anyway. It looks like that's fine. All right, so we can attack or defend here first turn. We lost 4 health. I'm gonna attack again. Okay, so I subtracted 3 of his health away by attacking him with my sword. He did 4 more damage to me. I'm gonna defend this time. Okay, so I raised my shield. Now I took 2 damage, not 4. There you go, right? So it works. We took half damage. Kind of cool. I'm gonna attack again now. I'm gonna defend again even. Okay, took 2 damage that time. I'm going to attack now. Okay, now I did damage to him and took 4 damage. There you go. Welcome back, El Soldado. Pleasure having you, dude. Agility 1. Oh, I'm late. Fallout New Vegas reference. I don't think I got that one. User says, I've run into several C++ devs that don't like Python because it does a lot for you. Yeah, it does a lot for you for sure. I wish online courses were as good as this. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Pillowfort. If you have any questions, again, let me know, by all means. Sig says, yo! Got to phase 30. Oh my god. Yo, Signap is going ham on this game, dude. You're going to go to 50 for real? If you get a game over, it's going to be so sad. I'll be really impressed, Signap, if you can do that. I'll be really impressed if you can do that. I think the game has 100 levels total. You'll be halfway through the game, man. That's really hard. It's a hard-ass game. So, as you can see here, guys, we actually have a new type. I have, a couple more minutes to talk about this, I guess. By doing a division operation right here, when the player's defending, right, we have the monster's attack power. By running this division operation here, we're getting a floating point number. It's called a float, right? So we know about integers, right, which are these. They're full numbers or whole numbers. But we also have another kind of number called a float, which has a decimal point. They're not necessarily whole numbers. They can be treated the same most of the time. They're pretty much always the same, to be honest. It's just that floating point numbers take more memory by a tiny bit. It's not really worth worrying about. And they can, of course, be fractional, like 90.5. If we were to, let's say, lower my man's attack power from 4, my monster, from 4 to like 3. If I defend, I'm going to take 1.5 damage instead of taking full damage. Or taking, an integer damage. Watch. So I'm going to attack him now first turn. All right, so I'm going to do 3 damage to him. He does 6 to me. He does 3 damage to me. Right, I'm actually going to defend it now. Yeah, so now I took 1.5 damage. Right, so I have 92.5 health left. That's fine. So basically, I'm going to go back to our notes here. I actually wasn't going to touch on that today, but I guess we kind of got our hand forced. We also, learned about one final data type for today. Floats. Right. They're just fucking numbers that aren't necessarily whole. They can be fractional, like 1.5 or whatever. Right? Ints or integers, by comparison, must always be whole. You can't have like a decimal point there. So up to this point, we've used mostly just integers, right? If we go to our RPG here, and we have integers up here for like our HP, 100 HP. We got 3 attack power. Monster has 20 HP, 3 attack power. It's all a bunch of integers. But by doing division here, we actually don't get an integer back. We get a float back because division only works on floats, I guess. So we get this floating point number, which is fine. It's fine for our purposes. Just looks a bit different. We can actually define floats here too. We'll give them 100.7 health. We'll give the monster 3.4 attack power. Right? It doesn't really change the way our program works at all. Let's just run this again. Yeah, see, so we're doing fractional damage now. I start off with 100.7 health, and he does some percentage of damage to me that's not a full number, which is fine. I'm gonna attack him again. Fuck you. Yeah, see, so my health is now a floating point number, which makes it look a little more complex. It's not a big deal though. It's the same. It works the same. Kill this dude. Kill him. We got him. Game over. We did it, boys. We did it. Sig's gotten 10 game over so far, huh? Haven't been paying attention to it, huh? Yeah, it's a great game. Oh, I've only checkpointed twice. Oh, I only used a checkpoint twice. I bet I've gotten more than 10. I haven't been paying attention to it, huh? Userman says, I think C or an earlier language was one of the first languages to actually use int versus integer, huh? It's an interesting bit of trivia there. I never heard about that before. I used to play Luigi Bros all the time. Really, Signopt? Like what, when it came out? So let's see here. It came out probably like, 5 or some years ago, so you were a pretty young kid back then. Yeah, Signapt a very young guy. All right, so in this stream, which is a little bit less than 2 hours long, we have gone from knowing nothing about programming to having a really cool little RPG working. It's even interactive a little bit. I mean, the whole point of defending is kind of pointless right now. There's no gameplay balance. It doesn't make any sense, but it works. Right, it works. We have, we have 2 characters now that can fight each other. They have attack power and HP that you can set here in your program, and you can have them duke it out. You can even choose if you attack or defend, which is kind of nice. In fact, why don't we give the player the ability to name themselves? Right here at the very start of our program, we define the protagonist's name. It's Signapt, right? And then later in our program, we use that name, protagonist name, plus HP. We can say that, protagonist name, when he attacks, he draws his sword, or uses his shield, right? Let's go down here to our, here we go. So we have his attack, right? It says protagonist name plus slashed plus monster name plus with his sword, right? So Signapt slashed Dicksucker with his sword. Now, we could have just, this whole time, could have just done this, right? We could just say here, instead of saying protagonist name, just say Signapt, right? It's the same thing. Signapt slashed, Dicksucker with his sword, right? That's much tighter, it's much smaller. What's the point of using this variable? Why use variables ever? Why not just always use literals, right? Why even name your data and, use it that way? Well, here's why. Because that makes it more dynamic, makes your code more dynamic. Right now, this is hard-coded in. Signapt slashed Dicksucker. But if we use the variable names we defined, like protagonist name, right, and the monster name, we can now make this more dynamic. For instance, although we define up to this point, we've been defining the monster's name and the protagonist's name up here in the top of our code, we can actually say the name is actually input by the user, right? Input, it's a function, right? If you guys watch the start of the stream, you guys know about these functions. You can come back and watch it later on the VOD if you want, and learn about this stuff. Input, we're going to say, what's your name? What's your name, son? All right, so now we can enter in our own name. Let's go try that. What's your name, son? How about I be Faust this time? Okay, so now we're saying, Faust has HP now, and Dix burninates Faust. I want to attack. All right, now Faust slash Dix, right? Because we never hard-coded the name Signapt in there. We never hard-coded it in. We always used this variable name, protagonist name. So we can change that at will to whatever pleases us, right? We even go down here to Dix's name and say, input. What monster do you face? Right? Because again, we never hard-coded the name Dix in. There's no point in our code where it says, Dix burninated Faust. It just says the monster's name burninated the protagonist's name. So now we can actually input in both those things. Control pause to end the program. What's your name, son? I want to be, Mr. Pillowfort, right? And the monster is going to be a Vencabot. I'm just that kind of guy, dude. I'm a fucking dragon. So now Vencabot burninates Mr. Pillowfort. He lost some health. Now we're playing as Pillowfort. We're going to actually attack Vencabot. Fuck that guy. Okay, so now Pillowfort slash Vencabot with his sword. Kind of nice, right? The Schrodinger's protagonist. Is he there or is he not? Who is this guy? I got the Wii U in 2013 or 14. Okay, so, yeah, you were pretty young back then, dude. You were younger than 10 years old. That's crazy. That's crazy. So, again, this is very short, it's just Notepad, right? It's just Notepad, right? We just had Notepad running. We wrote, like 30 lines of code or so, and we have a fully working game here. Our first day of programming. It's kind of sick. It's kind of sick. Let's actually make it winnable, though, right? Right now, my man, Mr. Pillowfort, has 100 health. It's a very, very long fight. I can actually kill the dragon pretty quick, though, right? Because he only has 20 health. I only have 3 attack power. Let's actually raise, we're going to raise Pillowfort's attack power from 3 to 6. So we can kill him in a few less turns. And lower his health, make it more interesting. Lower his health down to like, we'll give him like 25 health. Get a little more peril there. I think he's still going to win, right? Pretty easily. But there's a little more peril there. What's your name, son? I'm going to be, who am I going to be this time? I'm going to be Onagai. What monster do you face? Obviously you're going to fight Buglehawk. Battle of Brothers. Hate to see that. Poverty Game Night. Gotta go follow twitch.tv/Poverty Game Night. That's twitch.tv/Poverty Game Night. Good friends of mine. Very cool guys. They play old school games over there all the time. Cooking up food in a wood-burning stove on stream and drinking beer. It's a good time. So we have, they start off with 20 and 25 health respectively. Bugle Hawk attacks first. I'm going to attack and destroy this guy. I'm going to defend now. Fuck you. Take less damage. Attack him. Attack him. Attack him. There you go. I killed the dragon. Game over. Kind of cool. 6 says, I've been posting my progress on Twitch. I mean Twitter. Oh, nice, Ignat. That's cool. I'm following you on Twitter, right? So I should be able to see all this stuff when I end the stream for tonight. Kind of cool. Guys, we have about 10 more minutes left before I play some Minecraft. I might end the stream right here, in fact, and get Minecraft set up here for our next stream. Guys, if you guys are new to the channel here, we stream programming now a few times a week. On Fridays, it's Intro to Python. So on Fridays here, it's kind of like beginner stuff. Our next Intro to Python is going to be, probably not next Friday. I'm going to be gone next Friday. It's going to be a big fighting game tournament I'm going to be taking part in. But on the Friday after that, we're going to pick this up again and add more features, learn more about defining functions, learn about maybe a little bit of classes, perhaps some more data types, like lists maybe. That kind of thing. I think by the end of our season here, guys, I want to have a game where you can get money for beating monsters. You can fight more than one monster in a row. You can use your money to buy equipment, right? You can go sleep at an inn. That kind of thing. It's going to be kind of like a basic Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest kind of RPG here. Nothing too complicated. Even by the end, it's going to be pretty simple for beginners. But it's going to be a little bit more involved by the end for sure. It's a very simple game right now. But we also play a lot of gameplay here. It's not always programming. Don't get discouraged if you see me playing like some Third Strike or some Smash Brothers or some Minecraft. We play all kinds of cool games here. It's a variety stream, but we do programming here quite often. It's kind of one of the things we do here. Again, if you guys are new, check out YouTube at youtube.com/Vencabot Archive. It's got all kinds of cool footage there, more than 1,000 videos, many of which are programming. We have playlists there for every game I've played, as well as for our programming playlists, such as like creative programming and Intro to Python playlist on there. Go watch previous seasons, including Pokemon. We're on GitHub as well, github.com/Vencabot. You can have an Intro to Python directory there. You can go look at all my old code for previous streams, many of it richly commentated, including lots of advice and tips on how to make your code work better. It's kind of cool. We're also on Discord at Vencabot.com. Go to Vencabot.com, get that Discord invite, and join us there on the Intro to Python text channel, where you can go ask me questions, and my friend Kenny's very generous with his time as well, helping people out learning Python. If you enjoy the channel and want to keep it online, check out Patreon. Patreon.com/Vencabot. Even $1 is a huge help, make the channel stay active, make it a little bit less painful for me in terms of making ends meet as I stream for 40 hours a week, every week. If you're like me, though, you want to help out, but you're not exactly rolling dough. Or help for free in that case. Get in the chat, come say hi, follow on Twitch, tell your friends we're here, save clips, go subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitter at Vencabot. It's all kinds of cool ways to help the channel out for totally free. I'm going to go a very short break, guys. Come right back in a few minutes with some Minecraft. I'll see you guys very shortly. Let's go, Signapt. Minecraft. Jumping way ahead, but I could see it having Discord integration along with an ongoing leaderboard system. What do you mean, Faust? You mean this RPG we're making? That could be cool. You guys know that, I guess a lot of guys don't know, but I have a plan here. Okay, so Faust is for the RPG.
It's just the
I have a plan here, guys, to take our viewership here and make a game studio of beginner programmers, beginner musicians, beginner artists, and kind of make some games together as a fun way to kind of just hang out and goof off and learn about, programming and being creative. It would be totally welcoming to guys that have no experience. If you guys are interested in joining like a game dev team, they're going to kind of work together and learn programming, that kind of thing, check out Discord. We can talk about it over there. But yeah, Faust, I might want to integrate that into our idea. I think it's going to be starting probably the week after next week. We'll be doing some streams here that are kind of focused on game development as a team. And maybe we should think about Discord integration and having like leaderboards that way too. You guys know I love bots. I love bots. Nice to meet you, Orf. I'm not sure we've met. I'm David, by the way. Bugboard Home Slave. Play a lot of 3S here in this channel, 4 nights a week. If you have any questions? That's a text-based Discord. Oh, no, I'm sick! Oh, you dropped the punch. I'm so sick.
Very nice, very nice.
My God. No fucking way. What a parry. Join our team, Signaps. Join as a programmer. You can be my #1 guy. Yeah, in a couple weeks here, guys, I'm going to be forming a team of total novices and other interested people that want to help us make a game here on the channel. We'd be streaming it like 3 days a week. We'd be streaming us working on our game. Wow. Exactly, Kenny. That's what I was referencing there. Give me a medal. Give me a fucking medal, dude. Who's handing out medals tonight? A good vibe. Make that Venka Fighter. Venka Fighter 5. Just skip right to the 5th one.
We're going to just save it on the footage. Okay. And ready? On cheese. 3, 2, 1. Cheese! Oh, the... Oh, it doesn't even work!